The actor who played Darth Vader in the Star Wars trilogy has died at the age of 85. Dave Prowse passed away after a short illness.
He'll be remembered for being the man behind the mask of one of film history's most iconic characters in a career spanning over 50 years, as Lizo Mazimba reports.
At 6'6" with a towering figure, Dave Prowse was physically perfect for the part of Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy in the 1970s and 1980s.
Looks like you two need a lesson in crossing the road.
At the same time, he was also the face of road safety, presenting videos and visiting thousands of schools as the Green Cross Code Man.
We won't be there when you cross the road, so always use the Green Cross Code.
It's very interesting because when I became Darth Vader, or at least when the Star Wars film came out, I almost got the sack from the government because they thought that my image as Darth Vader would have a detrimental effect on my image as the Green Cross Code Man.
A champion weightlifter, he eventually tried acting, playing a succession of small roles, including one in Stanley Kubrick's classic A Clockwork Orange, sharing scenes with Malcolm McDowell.
Cheers.
And then came the role of the physically imposing Darth Vader. He had the bulk, he had the build, but he also had a Bristol accent.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
When the first Star Wars film came out, he found that his dialogue had been replaced with the booming tones of James Earl Jones.
I have traced the rebel spies to her. Now she is my only link to finding their secret base.
He may never have been the voice behind the villain, but the man behind the mask of Darth Vader is how he'll always be remembered. And for so many, he played the most iconic cinema villain ever seen.
David Prowse, who's died at the age of 85.
We said goodbye to a West Country legend this week, didn't we, with the news that Dave Prowse had died. A son of Bristol, he found fame as Darth Vader and the Green Cross Code Man as I was growing up. His family say he would have been over the moon with the tributes which have flooded in. Now, Ali Vowles looks back at his life, at how he remembered it.
Don't make me destroy you.
I think it's safe to say that the Darth Vader that Dave Prowse made his own is truly one of the most famous baddies in the film world. But he never forgot growing up in Bristol and how a childhood problem with his knees, aged 13, led to a drastic change of life.
And so I went to see my family doctor, and he sent me to see a specialist, and before I knew where I was, 3 days later I was in a TB sanatorium. This is Wimford Orthopaedic Hospital just outside of Bristol. And they kept me in there for a year trying to prove that I had TB. And at the age of 17 they came through and said, well, look, you know, we're very sorry, but there was really nothing wrong with you ever in the first instance, and we suggest you do some exercises to build yourself up.
London. The Victoria Palace was...
So after buying a fitness magazine, it inspired him to become a bodybuilder, eventually competing to try and become Mr. Universe.
Playing Darth Vader in Star Wars may have made me famous, but the best job I ever had was the Green Cross Code Man.
And the net result was in Great Britain alone, we actually reduced the road accident figures by half. And if you added it all up, we'd actually save something in the region of 250,000 children's lives.
This gentle giant was loved by us all here in the West, so many remembering him and his many jobs in the city. Stephen Marchant took to Twitter today to say he'd been emailed by his dad, who'd had his own close encounter.
I had the honour of being thrown out of the Glen in Clifton for smoking on the dance floor by David Prowse. He was very gentle and carried me out.
And for this film fanatic from South Gloucestershire, it was watching Darth Vader in the first Star Wars, aged 10, that led to his own career in film.
Yeah, it's one of a few films from the 1970s that I saw round about that age that really showed me the power of film to basically get inside your head. And I don't know where I would be without the scary figure of Darth Vader to haunt me.
George Lucas offered Dave the choice of 2 parts in his new movie, Star Wars. The first was the friendly, hairy-suited Chewbacca.
No, I said, no, I don't fancy that, George. I said, what's the other one? He said, well, the other one's the big villain of the film, a character called Darth Vader. I said, well, don't say any more, George, I'll have the villain's part. And he said, well, tell me for why. Why have you chosen the villain? And I said, well, if you think back on all the movies that you've ever seen, Where there are goodies and baddies, I said, you always remember the baddie. Dave, he said, I think you've made a wise choice. He said, because nobody will ever forget Darth Vader.
And I think none of us will ever forget him either. Ali Vowles, BBC Points West.
Oh, that's a really nice tribute there. Do you know, we took a call from one of his neighbours, I think it was this morning, from the 60s in Southmead, and he said he remembers Dave Prowse because he used to use him, the neighbour, as practice for weightlifting. Like you do. Probably wouldn't use my neighbours. They could use me. All right, Ian.
Hello.